What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, joined by UFC lightweight Beneil Dariush, who I'm used to usually seeing in your kitchen, is where the usual interview spot is. But we classed it up a bit. You're sitting in the Tesla. Are you coming from somewhere? Are you trying to get away from the fam for this interview, or why are we sitting outside in the Tesla?
Trying to get away from the family, actually. My daughters are it's nap time, so they're not trying to nap. So I just figured I'd take a minute and come in the car, and it's just easier.
You're a smart man, dude. Schedule the interview around nap time. Just like,
Yeah.
sorry, I want to help you out, put him to bed, but I got to go out and sit in the Tesla.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, Beneil, we're interviewing you on a Friday, and you did an interview with Submission Radio. Great interview. I watched the whole thing, and of course, some of the websites took what you said, and it's fair that they made this the headline. It said, I've been seeing the headline of I don't know if I should go forward or I don't know if I'm just kind of done, which makes it. If anybody just reads that headline and doesn't read the story or doesn't listen to the full interview, they wonder is Beneil thinking about hanging it up? Are you thinking about hanging it up? Are you actually considering retirement, or is that just more kind of the process that's going through your head?
Well, I guess you could say it's more the process, but here's my thought. The desire to compete, I don't know if that's going to go away so easily. Uh, I wake up in the morning and I think about training typically before I think about anything else, and but at the same time it's like if I don't have it, I'm just going out there and I'm taking damage and I'm taking away from my family. So what the process really is knowing whether I have it or I don't got it anymore. And if I don't have it anymore, even if the desire is there to compete, it doesn't mean it's right to compete. The to go into that octagon, you got to be able to compete and be safe, and not not take too much, sacrifice too much, because at some point it's like a diminishing returns, right? In terms of the sacrifice, it's one thing to say I'm going to sacrifice as much as I can to become champion. It's a whole other thing to say I'm going to sacrifice and lose everything that I've actually worked for. It doesn't make sense, and so um that's what the process is. I'm trying to decide whether it makes sense to continue to compete, because I always compete to be the best. I'm not trying to be a top 10 or whatever. I'm just trying to be top one, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. But how do you know? I mean, like you just it's not that long ago, Beneil, that you had won 8 fights in a row, right? And on any given night, you probably still think you could beat Islam Makhachev, right? So how do you know? Like what do you base it on?
So that's the hard part. This camp was amazing. I had a great camp. Conditioning was great. My sparring, I have the tapes. I have everything, and in every aspect, I've looked better than I've ever looked. But for some reason, when I got into that cage, um, I wasn't able to do whatever it is I need to do. And I've mentioned this before with Charles. When I fought Charles, I just felt like I wasn't capable. I didn't physically have, something was missing that night. I didn't feel that way tonight, this fight with Tsarukyan. I felt great. I remember just walking to that octagon and thinking, man, I feel really good. uh you know and it still didn't go my way. If anything, it was worse. So that's the thing. You say, how do you know? I don't know. I really don't know. So I need to I guess I need to figure it out. I'm a devout Christian. I spend a lot of time in prayer, and currently it's like a cycle. I'm going through. I'll wake up in the mornings and I'm like, dang, I lost, and then I'll be like, why, Lord? Why does that happen? And I'll go through this whole process of be like, I worked the hard, like this is the hardest I've ever worked. I've done more, blah 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 blah. And as a Christian, I know that's like as hypocritical as you can get, telling God how hard you work when the whole point of it is grace. I get it. I get what I'm doing, but that's my whole process right now. I'm trying to figure it out, and I haven't figured it out. Obviously, I think I'm going to fight again. I think I'm going to end up fighting again. But the 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 issue is, I don't know if I got it, and that's just me being honest. I don't I'll try to be as honest as I can in everything I do.
Which I always appreciate, man. That's why I always really enjoy interviewing you. I think the fact that the fights went the way they did, does that make it almost harder? It'd be different if like you were out there for 25 minutes and you just felt like you couldn't keep up with a 27-year-old, but the fact that it happened so quick, does that actually make it more difficult?
It really does, man. It actually makes it so difficult because it goes back to that whole thing. I've worked so hard. It's one thing to go out there and to go 25 minutes and be like, dang, okay, he beat me all around. It's a whole other thing to lose in a minute because I didn't even get a chance to show my skills. And yeah, that's really where I'm struggling with, you know. I wouldn't be like, okay, I don't have it anymore. If I had 25 minutes in there, I would know better. I'd be like, you know what? I don't have it. In every position, this guy beat me, or in this, he beat me, or it was a tactical mistake. I need to go back in there and just fix that tactical mistake. It's one of those things. It is definitely more difficult because it was such a short fight.
Like if I was in your shoes, I guess another way that I would be asking myself, trying to make the decision because it is a hard one, and I think that your values align with like a lot of what people would think about when they're trying to make a decision like this. Is would anything have been different if I was younger? Like if I was 4 years younger, would I have had reaction times to get away from that shot, or would I have taken the shot different? Like that would come into my mind. Like if I don't have it anymore, like in what sense? Like if I were younger, would there have been a difference in that fight?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something I think about. And it's like, okay, in training, I watch the speed is the same, the power is, I think actually I'm stronger now at 34 than I was in 27 or 26 or whatever. Yeah, so that's why I said I put it that like I don't got it anymore. Whatever that thing is, I can't place my finger on it because I feel strong. I feel fast. I'm still motivated. I have all those things, but for whatever reason, it's not coming together. So that's why I can't really verbalize it. I don't know. Maybe if I was younger, I would have taken the shot better, or maybe if I was younger, I wouldn't even got hit. I don't know. It's so complicated, and there's so many aspects to it, so many layers to it. So see, I don't know. If I was younger, maybe I wouldn't, I would have done something totally different. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that adds more to it if I start thinking about it.
What's it like for you to rewatch the fight and see you take those shots? What is that like?
It's just my first thing I think about, man, I wish I had more time to fight. I just that's what it is. Like I don't mind because I've been on the other end, right? I've dropped people and I've done what I needed to do. That's whatever. It's the fact that I just didn't get to fight longer. My the competitor in me, that's the one I think that's most hurt. I didn't get to actually show what I worked so hard on. I didn't get to show how much I've improved. So that's really the hardest part. Everything else, not I'm not like I'm motivated by money, but I don't think I'm as motivated as most people by money. Fame is definitely not a motivator for me. If anything, I think it's the opposite it's a dislike or whatever you want to call it, dismotivator if that's the right word. So the competitor is really what that's my biggest thing, and that's why I always try to fight the best guys I can find. That's the one that really bugs me is I just didn't get to show how much I've improved in my skills and things like that, and I didn't get to perform.
Have you reached a level of fame where it breaks into your life at awkward times?
Surprisingly, Costco is like the place. I go to Costco and like it's just a bunch of young couples that are just recently married or they have like a couple of kids, and Costco's the place to be, I guess, man. Who would have known? But yeah, I get stopped at Costco a lot. That's got to be probably the place I get stopped the most. And it's not an issue. I don't mind. It's just uh, I don't really know what to say to people. That's
Yeah.
the hard part because typically I'm either in like it's like a family thing or it's a friend, and I'm typically serving people. I got to be honest with you. My positions in my life, I'm more of a servant. I take more of a servant role. So when I meet people and they just want to talk to me and they're excited about it, I'm like, this is different than what I'm used to. I'm normally chasing my daughters, chasing my wife. What do you want? You know, my mom, my mother-in-law, I have my friends, they all have needs, and I'm typically the one working it out. And this is totally the opposite. People are like, hey man, what's going on? What do you need? You want something? And it's just it's different. It's definitely different being stopped.
Well, you're a humble guy, so that kind of attention, of course, would I don't think humble people take to it so well.
It's it's not just the like being humble, it's just I don't know the exact reaction I'm supposed to have, and I don't know how to basically make sure the person who's going out of his way to come speak to me, I don't know how to make sure he's satisfied with the conversation, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. You know, that's
yeah.
the part I struggle with because humble this, humble that. Like, I don't really think of myself as humble. I just want to make sure whatever transaction I'm having, both parties are satisfied. That's the way I look at it.
That's a funny way to look at it. I don't think you need to put that much pressure on yourself. I think the fact that they just see you and get to say hello is the transaction. Like that's it
Yeah,
right
yeah, that's true. But it's just that's just my nature, I guess. I don't know when that came in, but it came in at some point.
Yeah, that's funny. So, I mean, I talk to fighters all the time, man, and guys get to certain points in their career. Like, yes, I don't get the sense that you're done. I don't. I feel like you will fight again, and then maybe it'll be kind of like an evaluation type process on your next fight. Like, you'll really be looking at your next fight.
Yeah, I mean, I I agree with you. I think I'll fight again, and I'm going to assess things, and I'll have a better understanding. It's just I get 15 or 25 minutes. I just was hoping I would get to use all of it, and that's really the assessment. And I know some people have recommended, hey, like your next fight, maybe find someone like a matchup that's more like more favorable towards you. And I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you, because everybody has something that they could bring in. But also, I want to make sure when I wake up in the morning, I have somebody to be excited about. You know what I mean? Somebody that that's dangerous, that wants to become a champion, and that has that weapons that scare me. So it's a weird place to be right now. I need to do so many things. I have to evaluate where I'm at. I have to think about my next opponent, and not not from the perspective of like I'm always looking for the best guy I can fight, right? Whoever's ranked the highest, whoever's the scariest looking, the deal. But now it's like whatever the UFC tells me, I kind of have to go with that. I can't be like, no, no, I want someone ranked higher, or I want someone tougher, or I want the scariest guy. I can't do that anymore. It's a different position I'm in right now for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, based on what you just said, it doesn't sound like it. But do you think there will ever come a day, like maybe 10 years, 20 from years from now, where you're just like, you've gotten a lot of credit, rightfully so. Like you and I have talked about it that you wanted Mateus Gamrot and Arman Tsarukyan. Like you and I texted about it when they fought
Yeah.
like years ago, and no one knew who these guys were, and no one was willing to fight them. I mean, that's a real thing. Like Tsarukyan thanked you after beating you for like, thank you for giving me an opportunity because most guys don't. They get a number next to them. It's just bad business to fight down. Like, do you think you'll ever not regret it, but do you think you'll ever kind of almost like, should I've done that? Like almost second guess it?
I mean, I don't regret it now. I I don't regret that I competed with him. I regret that I didn't perform well. So no, I don't think I'll regret it. The way I look at it, a champion fights number one contenders, right? And I consider myself a champion. I may not have a belt, but my mindset, I'm a champion. So I want to fight the toughest guys I can. I look for the number one contenders as much as I can.
Yep. Yep. Well, I think that's it for you, man. I think the only question left is just like sort of what's a time frame on it. But in your other interview, you kind of said this, you're leaving that up to your coaches. Yeah. Like you're just gonna take your time, no rush.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would probably come back like February, March. But there's coaches are definitely against that. And then, we're starting a new gym. We're moving our current gym to a bigger location, and my wife is super stoked about it. And there's a lot of things that we have to do for that. And she also thinks we should take a little time because the move and stuff will get in the way of training, which I hope it doesn't, because that's not my job. Fighting is my job. I'm not a coach yet. I'm not a manager or whatever. So, but she's just like, it's gonna take a lot of your time. Just relax. So We'll see. We'll see when I fight, but hopefully sooner than later for me personally. But I also have to be patient and listen to my coaches. God gave me my coaches for a reason, so I better listen.
When you do, last thing, when you do transition into coaching, will you be the kind of guy like I want world champions, like I want to be like a professional coach, or are you talking more like kind of amateur level type, like jujitsu, that kind of stuff?
Personally, I would like to be both. Because for example, when I teach people who do it for a hobby, I still want them to be disciplined and understand that what that martial art is just a tool that's supposed to make you better in all aspects of life if you do it well. And then same thing for my pros. I want them disciplined. So whoever I teach, I care more about your character coming out like after training martial arts with me. I hope your character changes inside and outside the octagon kind of deal. So whether you're a pro or you're an amateur, I just want better men or and women. That's what I want. I want to make sure I was a positive influence and not a negative one. And then when you go out there, one thing that stands out about you is your character and your discipline.
Really appreciate it, man. Always enjoy talking to you, and I know that it's funner talking to you off of a win, but it's also very insightful talking to you off of what happened Saturday. So thank you
Listen,
for taking the time.
I've this isn't my first time here. The Lord has given me wins, lots of wins, and He's given me losses, and there's always been a reason for them. So we'll get this figured out, and hopefully we'll have another interview with a W next to my name.